stream on my YouTube as well, and I think
Oh,
I just did that.
okay.
So we'll.
Cool. Yeah, I see it. Well, I don't know for sure. I think I it says that the guest destination is live for Alex. So yeah, I think you're good. So yeah, anyways, really cool day, crazy day. I went up in front of the audience and told them it was really cool that people donated tickets. I thanked everyone for coming out, and people were clapping, and it was a lot of fun. And this was like 4 minutes ago, and I came downstairs and flicked this on. And so now I'm looking forward to talking to Alex more. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I feel wired right now, because I took your advice and threw some of that beef fat in the air fryer,
Yeah.
and I had some of that, and I was drinking coffee at the same time, but usually coffee doesn't affect me like this, and now I'm just like happy.
I bet you a big part of it's probably that beef fat. Maybe a little bit is the coffee, but I get that way too. I don't know. When I eat really fatty meat, it feels. I've described it that way many times. It's like a caffeine rush. So you had double duty there with the caffeine and the meat. Dr. Chafee was telling me about that, and because when I first started lying, I wasn't getting enough fat. It's a struggle for a lot of people to get enough fat, but he was right, man. You cut that fat up and put it in that air fryer or a cast iron skillet, a little bit of salt. It's so good.
Yeah, I used some of the Redmond's smoke salt on it, and
Nice.
and I threw a little garlic powder on there too, just because I really like garlic. But
Yeah.
and it just, dude, I feel like I'm on crack.
Carnivore crack. We got carnivore sauce at our house. It's the Wagyu beef tallow. You mix some butter in with it. I haven't
Mm,
done this on lion, but I used to do this on carnivore. And then you get it super hot and then drizzle it over your steak. It's so
okay.
good, so good. But anyways, before we get too far, would you mind, Alex, maybe telling us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I live in Florida in the Orlando area, and if you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen what I looked like a year ago. Uh, and that picture, the before picture, was taken on my birthday last year, June 17th, and I was miserable. I was miserable. I mean, and there was other stuff going on besides the weight, but suffice it to say that the pandemic was not kind. I put on a bunch of weight because I was depressed and just not handling the stress of that situation and things in my personal life well. And I got up to about 314 pounds. And when I finally separated from my wife this past October, I went and moved into a place by myself, and I was like, you know, this is like a chance to start over, to reset, and it's like I can't stay like this. I have to change it. And so I decided that my health was going to be the most important thing for me, and I started focusing on that. I was kind of taking a more of a keto path, so it's similar to you, Carrie, where I started out keto. I mean, I've always known that I needed to eat low carb to lose weight. I've lost weight before, and it's the only thing that ever worked for me was eating low carb or trying to eliminate carbs as much as possible and hitting the gym. And so I did that, and I was making progress. Started officially November 1st, 2022. And then around February, I started doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting led me into trying out alternate day fasting, which is just a more extreme form of intermittent fasting, where you literally skip days of eating. And while I was in the middle of doing the alternate day fasting, I started seeing carnivore videos popping up on my timeline. I started seeing I think I saw your 30-day video, and that got me really curious. I've been seeing Dr. Ken Berry's videos pop up on my timeline. I hadn't watched a whole lot, but like hearing you made me, investigate more. And then I just kept seeing it. I just kept seeing it. Like it just kept coming in my timeline. And I've been, listening to more doctors' content and just incorporating more advice on how to improve my health. Being more active, walking, increasing my protein intake, and it was just like the more I was eating meat, the better I was feeling. And so I just felt called to the carnivore way of eating. And finally, I was in the middle of doing my first 30 days of alternate day fasting, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna pull the trigger on this. And so I just passed this past week 60 days on carnivore. Um, I feel great, and I feel like I'm putting on muscle right now. Like I still want to lose more weight. I've lost about 80 pounds since
Wow.
November. Um, and so I feel like right now the like all the meat is helping me put on some muscle because I am in the gym several days a week. I go on a 3 mile walk most days. That's how I start my day. Um, and now I've started at least once a week incorporating a 6 mile walk just because I wanted to see if I could do it. And now that I know I can do it, I want to keep doing it. And so the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna one of these days I'm gonna do a 9 mile walk because 3 miles takes me about an hour, 6 miles takes me 2 hours, and so it's like so the next step is just one day we just gonna do a 9 mile walk. We'll see how that goes. Uh, but it's like the better I feel, the more active I want to be, and and it's to the point like if I take multiple days off from the gym or from taking my walks, like it mentally it does something to me. Like the inactivity makes me anxious, and I have ADHD. I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, and anxiety, and the physical activity has helped with that. But then since going carnivore, it's like a calm that's just like settled over me. It's like uh I just don't get flustered as easily. I just don't like and it's not like everything in my life is great, you know. I've run my own business, or I haven't had a job in over 10 years. The pandemic forced me to change my business model where I was mostly freelancing for the corporate events industry, and that shut down, and had to make my company I Am Media, which is a video production and podcasting agency. I had to make that work, and so it's not all good. I'm still learning things. I'm not a natural born businessman. The only things in my life that I'm good at are things that I had to work very, very hard to become skilled at, including the video, including all the freelancing stuff. I've got a history in music. So all these things are things that I had to work very, very hard to build skill in. I'm not naturally gifted. Um, so it ain't all sweet, but like I feel more centered. I feel more hopeful than I have in years. I'm focused on, I have two kids, a 7-year old and a 10-year old. I'm trying to be, great examples for them. I'm trying to, make this business successful and just be the best man that I can.
Man, that's something. So you're down almost 80 pounds in 60 days. Sorry, I didn't catch this part, but are you doing the alternate day fasting that whole time, or was that more recent?
I did 30 days of ADF, and then I stopped for a few weeks. And I tried to do OMAD, and OMAD didn't feel quite right. But my eating schedule is it's a constant experiment right now. At the beginning of this month, I started doing ADF again, and and I and I stopped 3 days ago. I meant to go the whole 30 days, but something my body was telling me to stop.
Mm.
And it was harder this time to do the ADF than it was before. I don't know why, but it was harder to adapt to it. After about a couple weeks, I felt like I was in the groove, but then like 3 days ago, it was just like something was telling me like, yeah, we don't need to do this right now.
Right. That's
And
good. Good. You listen to your body. When you're doing it, alternate day fasting, do you feel the need when it is the day to eat? Like, oh, I got to eat a lot of stuff now. That was always my issue doing OMAD. I would end up overeating.
sometimes my main thing was like I would when I ate my last, I would usually eat twice a day on the days I was eating. And so my last meal of the day, I might eat a little more than I normally would because I'm like, well, I'm about to go into this day of not eating.
Right.
Uh, and so if I didn't eat enough, like I would definitely feel it the next day, during the fasting day. So I would usually try to eat just a little bit more to try to carry me through, and it would work. And having the electrolytes and everything would help. Um, but it does take a while to get used to it. Like the first few days that you're doing it, you're probably like chomping at the bit, like, oh my god, what is happening right now? I really want to eat. But after a week, 2 weeks into it, it got easier. Like you get to a point where you can like kind of cruise through the fasting days. And the mistake that I think I made was I started working out on my fasting days.
Hmm.
And I think I just went too hard. I think I went too hard. I think I was putting too much, too big a demand on my body, and so I think that's why I had to stop.
Did you notice any differences on your fasting days versus eating days in other parts of your life, like sleep or mood or anything like, or the anxiety you mentioned earlier?
There wouldn't really be any anxiety, but some there was a few nights when I was fasting where it would be hard to sleep.
Hmm.
Or there was a couple times where I woke up at like 3 or 4 a.m. and just took forever to go back to sleep. Like, and a couple of those times, it was like, well, I'm up. I guess I'm gonna go for a walk.
Right. Where did you hear about this? Because I've done so many things over the years. I was doing OMAD for a long time. I've done multiple 3-day, 5-day water fasts, but I don't. It's weird. Like I don't know if I've never tried this before. And fasting is so good for you, like autophagy. And I know a lot of people are worried about losing weight on carnivore. I've got a lot of extra skin on my belly right now. And I know like Dr. Barry says one of the best ways is fasting because it's going to take a long time to tighten up that skin, but you
Well,
go into it.
the ADF will definitely help with that.
Okay.
And I did, and just to make it clear, I didn't lose 80 pounds in 60 days. Like that, it's 80 pounds since November.
Right.
But since I started carnivore, which was just over 60 days ago, it's it's been over 20 pounds. It's yeah, I'd have to look at I keep track of it in the Fitness Pal at my
Right.
Fitness Pal app, so I'd have to look at that to see exactly what it is. But
It's the hardest. It's the hardest pounds. I always tell people because I don't know if this is the case for you, but for me, when I was at my heaviest, I was almost 100 pounds heavier than now. And I always tell people this because I think it's encouraging. It's like when you first start losing weight, it seems to come off really fast. When you get down to like your last 20 pounds you got to lose, man, your body just doesn't want to let go of it for some reason. But on carnivore, it seems like it's been the best way for me to do it anyway. But
well, I haven't quite seen the weight loss that some people have talked about, but I have been losing weight. It's been kind of weird. I think I'm in a place where like I think I'm impatient right now. Like I
right.
really want. I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I want to cross that 100-pound mark. Like let's go. And so I think it's making me be unrealistic in my expectations.
Yeah.
Because from day to day, and I'm like your wife, like I like to weigh myself every day, which I know everybody says not to
Right.
do, but like I like seeing the numbers, and so right now I'm kind of going, me and the scale are not friends right now. We're going back and forth. But at the same time, there is some body recomposition going on, and which also I think is due to the carnivore stuff. Because I'll tell you, the last time that I lost a significant amount of weight was way before I had kids, and my oldest is 10 years old. So probably like back in 2007, I was probably about the weight that I am now, which is 235, and I lost 50 pounds. I got down to like 180.
Mm.
And the miracle of miracles to me was then I was able to get into size 38 jeans. And to put that in perspective, when I started back in November, I was having to buy size 50 in my pants, which was like that the day that I had to start buying size 50 was just like, what have you done to yourself?
Yeah.
Um, and so right now I am able to get back and when I started gaining weight back after that weight loss back in 2007, 2008, I bought, because you lost a whole bunch of weight. I went and bought a whole bunch of clothes and I was like really proud of it and all
Yep.
that stuff. And so when I started slipping and the weight started coming back on, I took a bunch of my favorite clothes, put them in a trunk, and I was like, I will get back in these one day. And I have been dragging that trunk around for over 15 years. Well, in the last couple of weeks, I opened the trunk and now I'm able to get back into the size 38 jeans that were in those in
Nice.
the trunk. I'm almost able to get back into size 36 jeans. Almost.
Soon.
Like I gotta lose like another inch. Like because the legs fit
Right.
fit fine. Just right around the waist is still a little bit tight. So but I'm confident, I'm hitting the gym, hitting the trail, doing these walks. I'm sure it's gonna come off because when the day that I just on a whim opened the trunk and tried to get into the jeans, like I really couldn't believe it. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it.
That's really cool. That's awesome. It's funny too because I was gonna say this, but I did carnivore. I had some good success early, and then like around day 50, I started buying new pants because I had a belt and they were just kind of falling off. And
I bought a couple new belts.
Yeah, I still have my original one on here, and it used to have this much sticking out, and now it's like this. So it's pretty cool. It's like I don't know, it's like a trophy or something. But I went too early. I was like, in retrospect, I wish I would have bought some like stretch pants or some sweats or something because I bought some and now it's down again. So it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining. But hey, back to that thing you were saying. I was just thinking, yeah, the scale. My wife Jen, she does it all the time. You do it too. But you said earlier you're gaining muscle, and I've been noticing that on carnivore. And it sounds like you're hitting the gym and working out more than me. So that's one of the trickiest things. Have you ever done measurements? Because I bet you're dropping the body fat, but you're building the muscle. You look on the scale and you get frustrated, but you're actually making probably amazing progress. It's just harder to read on the scale.
Yeah, I haven't done like, chest or all of those measurements, which I probably should, because I'm mad that I haven't documented the journey more. But you know how it is when you're really big and you don't like it. You don't want to take pictures. You don't want to take the videos. Like it, but now it's like because I feel so different, it's hard to remember what it felt like back then.
Right.
And even me saying back then, it's like it was less than a year ago. You know.
That's a really good point. I'm the same way. I wish I would have measured myself. And I always tell people to do it. I told my wife Jen, I was like, you got to measure everything. Like the fitness apps too. A lot of them, they just have it in there. It's so quick. Like measure your arms, measure your waist. I wish I had that info now. But yeah, to your point, that's the other thing. So for anyone listening, you're thinking about starting carnivore, just measure yourself. So Jen bought this thing. I think it was like $5 on Amazon. It's just a little tape measure. It actually rolls around. It clips in. It's got like it retracts itself. It's so simple. And get yourself one of those. But here's the other big piece of advice I have for everyone. Take before pictures. Like Alex just said, fat people don't like taking their pictures. I was looking for all my old fat pictures. Luckily, I got a lot of YouTube videos. But even in those, I covered it up so well. I was always wearing baggy shirts and hoodies and sweatpants and everything and the stretch pants. And and the thing is, like when you start doing YouTube too, those thumbnails, the before and after, that's what gets people interested and want to see it. But yeah, take picture, not only for the YouTube though, but it's so inspirational if you can take those pictures and then look back and be like, whoa. My girls say that to me now. I have this one picture where I was at 262 pounds. It was the largest I ever was. And my girls are like, man, Dad, I didn't remember you were that fat. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But I'm like, I get it though, because they see it every day. And I slowly got that fat, and I did pretty good losing it on carnivore, but it was like a slow thing, and you see it every day. It's hard to see that whole progress. But then you look at one of those old fat pictures, you're like, whoa, that's a big difference, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, and actually I can even look at some videos I shot a couple months ago right before I started carnivore, and I can see the difference in my face in those videos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's one cool thing with YouTube, having some of that to look back on. But hey, so anyone that has questions for Alex, please post them in the side and put a big Q in front of it. Really helps us kind of go through those. Really appreciate it. So Alex, we've been talking a lot about weight loss and stuff like that, but what are some like non-scale victories you've had? You talked a little bit about anxiety and things like that, but other health issues that have changed since you started carnivore?
Well, one interesting thing, and one of the reasons, like when you had the stream with Dr. Ken Berry, I asked a question about getting more fat in the diet. You know how fat's been so demonized in our culture for the last 30, 40 years. And so when I first started carnivore, that was one of the big things I was wrestling with, was like, well, maybe I can keep just really doing high protein and like maybe just increase the fat a little bit, but do it my way. And one thing that changed my mind was when I started doing these walks. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I had tweaked my shoulder or something, but like halfway into my walk, my right arm would start hurting just from the weight of my arm hanging. And that was constant. It was consistent every time I went for a walk. Like, and I couldn't figure out, like, I would take days where I would just rest and not go for a walk and be like, well, maybe I just need to rest. Maybe I did something in the gym. Couldn't figure it out. And then one day I had a day, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know I felt like I just like overloaded on fat that day. And when I woke up and I went for a walk the next day, my arm didn't hurt. And ever since then, every day that I've gone for a walk, my arm didn't hurt. And that's when I started eating more fat. That's when I started putting butter into everything. That's right. Because I was like, well, I did the fat thing on the one day and my arm stopped hurting. Okay, maybe there's something to this.
Right.
And so I've been trying to figure out how to get the fat up. Because I know people say you're not supposed to track or whatever, but like I said, I like data points. And so I do try to keep track of what I'm eating, not in terms of trying to limit what I'm eating, but just so I'm aware of it. Because that was one of the problems that led me to being 314 pounds in the first place, was not being more aware of what I was putting in my body. So even though I'm not necessarily trying to limit what I'm trying to eat to the point, like Dr. Berry says, to be comfortably stuffed or to be satisfied. I'm trying to be more aware of what I'm doing and mainly to be able to try to get more of that fat in. So I'm even like, when I remember, I'm even like trying to write down how much butter I'm putting in stuff so I can account for that. And dang, I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about kind of measuring stuff and keeping good records.
Yeah, because I just really want to be really aware of what I'm doing, and because like this is a constant experiment, I still don't think I figured it out. Right. What I need to be eating on a daily basis. So it's kind of like, okay, am I eating enough? Am I eating too little? Am I getting enough fat in what I'm eating? What makes me feel good? Because I know a lot of people just do like you're doing Lion Diet, or people are just doing beef, butter, bacon, eggs. I'm still experimenting. I'm still trying to figure things out. Like I got some pork roasting in the oven that I got to take out soon. And like, I just fried up that beef fat. So I'm still figuring it out. And like, there are days where I really just want some chicken, right, and I eat the chicken and I feel good. And there's, days where I want salmon. So I eat the salmon and I feel, so I'm trying. And hunger is different on carnivore. Like when I'm doing ADF and it's been over a day since I ate, like, yeah, it's easy to tell that I'm hungry. But on a normal day, like sometimes you just don't feel it, or it's a different sensation. It's not the same as when you were eating the sugar and the carbs and all that. Right. And so I'm trying to relearn my body's signals. And also, not confuse being thirsty for being hungry. And because like earlier today, I wanted to wait. I told myself I was gonna wait till like at least noon to eat for my first meal because I just wanted to, get in a little bit more of a fasting period. Uh, and around 11 o'clock, or yeah, around 10, 11 o'clock, I started being like, man, maybe I'm really hungry. Maybe I need to eat. And then I was like, well, you ain't really drink that much water this morning. Like, go have some water first. And I drank water and it went away.
Mm.
And so, really trying to figure out what my body's telling me, trying to be more aware of what I'm putting in my body, and trying to get this thing dialed in.
That's really cool. You're doing that. One of the first interviews I did for Carnivore was Anita from Ketogenic Woman, and one thing that was really cool that I learned a lot from her was, because when you think carnivore, you think, oh, this is so restrictive, just meat, beef, butter, bacon, eggs.
It doesn't feel restrictive to me.
It doesn't to me either. And then if you go to a Ketogenic Woman, she's so cool. She does all these recipes, but the recipes aside, she was doing all these experiments, kind of like what you're talking about. So I never really thought about it until I spoke with her, and I'm like, oh, that is really cool. And that's why I did Lion Diet, because I'm like, this is kind of an experiment. She did an experiment, it's kind of similar to yours, where she's like, I'm going to just try eating way higher fat than normal. I'm going to try it for 30 days, and she's going to document it and write everything down just like you're doing it, and see how she feels. And yeah, man, that's really cool because everybody's so different. It's like you said, Alex, you're going to get it all dialed in for you. One of the things that it's a comment I get all the time. It's kind of frustrating, but then people will be like, now you tell me exactly what you did. And it's like, look, what Alex is doing for him is probably way different than what works for me. Everybody's different in that way, but yeah, experimenting and stuff like that. That's a good thing to do. I'm doing the Lion Diet. I was just going to do as an experiment. And then I'm like, well, this is working pretty good for me. I think I'm going to just stick to it. Last night I had a new meal for the first time, which was kind of exciting because it's just been like burger patties or steak forever. And I don't even mind. I enjoy it every single time. I still have a big smile on my face, which is just crazy. I don't know. It's weird, but I got this big pot roast from Costco and slow cooked it yesterday. And I almost forgot about it, but it was on low for like 12 hours or something. Oh my goodness. It was like I preferred it over steak. So now I got a new go-to. It was amazing.
Pot roast is one of the things that I want to try. And actually so coming up, start of this next month, start of August, I do want to try Lion Diet. So I'm trying to, but I love bacon. So I'm trying to eat up my bacon. I'm trying to do this pork roast before it's like, okay, I want to start Lion Diet. Well, let me get the pork out the way. And even, like you said, experimenting with different cuts of meat, trying to figure out what I like. Like I just had some lamb chops after I had the beef fat earlier. That was good. Although I think I might have been a little overboard. Like the beef fat was so good.
Right. I got to get some more beef fat. I'm running low myself.
It was cheap, dude. I went to this butcher shop, and the specialty butcher shop down the road from me. And I was just like, do y'all keep the beef trimmings? And he was like, yeah, we got some. And I was like, well, okay. And he went and just grabbed a bag of it in the back, and it was like $8 for like 2 or 3 pounds. And I was like, I can do this.
Right. Well, he's probably like, yeah, we got a ton of that because everyone's so scared of eating it.
He said we're trying to get rid of it.
Right.
I was like, I'll take some.
Isn't it funny? Like what you were saying earlier, it's basically if you and I were to do everything opposite of what we thought, we would be where we are right now. And
that's basically what I'm doing, is everything the opposite of what I've been told I should be.
Yeah, they're like, don't eat fat. That's going to clog your arteries. You eat fat, you're doing better. Don't eat meat. That's going to kill you. Eat your vegetables. No, I'm not going to eat any vegetables. It's like complete opposite, but it's working. It's amazing. Yeah, I question so many things, so many things from the past, advice and stuff like that. But how Alex, has this been on like people close to you, your friends, family, folks you work with?
Well, I'm kind of isolated, honestly. I don't see a lot of people other than, clients if I have to go on shoots, or I'm a member of a couple different local chambers of commerce, and so I go to some of their networking events and stuff. And so people have noticed. People have noticed the weight loss, because I look way different now than I did back in January, um, and definitely different than back in November. So people have noticed, and a few people have asked what I'm doing. I have a friend who's staying with me now, and so he's getting to see how I'm eating, and he's been asking some questions, and he's kind of curious because he sees me getting up early in the morning to go for my walks, and or sometimes if I don't get to go in the morning, I'll go late at night, which actually after we get off this live stream, I'm probably going to go for a walk because I didn't get to go for one this morning because I had a shoot early. um and yeah, man, it's almost like I'm addicted to the movement and the exercise now. But that's not a bad thing. And and the walking was not only inspired by the advice from a doctor on YouTube, but it was also inspired by my mom. My mom, I can't remember how many years ago it was now, because now it just seems part of who she is, but she got on a health kick years ago and started walking every day and dropped a bunch of weight, and like she's skinny as a rail now. Unfortunately, she eats mostly vegetables. Nobody's perfect, but I love my mom, and started walking kind of inspired by her because I always admired what she was doing. Um, and now like I understand it. I'm not walking like my mom walks probably like 5 to 10 miles every day. So
Wow.
I'm not doing that yet.
Right.
But like, and plus like I got knee problem. I got one of my legs is all messed up. I got knee problems, ankle problems. Like, yeah. But even then, even saying that, I can do way more on that leg now than I used to be able to.
Right.
Even the other day, just to test it, I went for that 3 mile walk without my knee brace, and I felt fine.
Nice.
And like it was to the point last year where if I I couldn't really go more than a day without my knee brace. Now the majority of the time, unless I know that, like, I'll wear it when I go on my walks just to kind of be safe. Um, Especially when I go on my 6 mile walk, like I ain't that brave yet. But most of the time, I'm not wearing the knee brace anymore, unless I know that I'm really gonna be on my feet all day.
Right. That's great. Yeah, there's something about carnivore where I never was exercising before carnivore, never, and I dreaded the thought of doing it. I mean, like 10, 15 years ago, Jen and I did P90X for a while. I think like 20 days, and then that was about the extent of it. But yeah, every day now, it's so weird. You have this excess energy. It's like you got to do
Hey,
something.
Anson, I see you. What's going on, man?
Oh, you got someone in the comments,
Yeah, another YouTuber that does camera stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, yeah, speaking of camera stuff, just so everyone knows, this is how I met Alex. You reached out to me, sent me a video, and then I watched some of your stuff. And so you do film production stuff. And man, your stuff was so impressive. So you're down in Florida. If someone's interested, like what's the best way? I put your YouTube channel on the bottom, but should we send them to your website or something if they're looking for some production work?
You can hit me up on LinkedIn. You search for Alex Miner on LinkedIn. I'm usually the first person that comes up.
Nice.
I'm pretty well, except for the last couple months, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I've had some client projects that I've been really trying to finish up. So had to kind of abandon ship on the social media for a little bit. But I saw somebody had asked a little bit ago if I had a channel for talking about my weight loss journey. I am starting another channel. It's going to be called Alex Does Fasting. And I've got the first video done. I'm trying to get at least 1 or 2 more videos edited before I start uploading stuff, but that will be coming soon. And yeah, because I'm still doing the experiments with the fasting. Because I'm definitely doing intermittent fasting all the time. I'm probably going to experiment with doing ADF again because it did work. Like the first month I did it, I lost 17 pounds. This month, I had lost around 10 pounds, and I thought I was on track to hit that 17 pounds until I said, F it, we're stopping. Uh, but, like I said, experiment.
Right. How is it with your YouTube, being that you do video production? Is it like perfection, or are you able to just say, let
Yeah.
perfection go, or I'm never going to get a video done sort of thing? I
Oh, I
imagine
do
it's
too
tough.
much. I do too much. I do
Yeah.
too much. I want to make everything a movie. Like now, the first video that's gonna come out on the Alex Does Fasting channel, I'm quite proud of it. Like it came out better than I thought. The second and third video are gonna be a little bit more down to earth, but I kind of wanted to set the bar high. But and and I actually started making the videos a couple months ago, so y'all are gonna get a little bit of rewind,
Right.
and you'll see the progression from doing the ADF into starting carnivore and my thought process in that. But I'm gonna try to get up to the current date as quickly as I can.
That's really cool. Yeah, definitely. Tell me when you do that. I'd love to watch and subscribe and support you any way I can. Uh, yeah, we got 243 people on here. This is awesome. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the sidebar there, and we'll go through and hit up some of those questions. So, one more question for you, Alex. What kind of plans? What are you thinking? Like 5 years down the road, or forever? Is it just going to continue doing carnivore? Or are you going to hit your goal weight and switch things up?
I really, really enjoy eating carnivore. I don't really want to go back because here's the thing, and this is something that and this is like, I don't know if this is just a thought experiment or I don't even know what to call it, a logic path. Uh, when I was young, when my kids were young, what did they want to eat the most on the plate? The meat, for the most part.
Right.
And some people will argue, oh, most kids like fruit. Yeah, because it's sweet, right?
Right.
The sugar addiction, like. But I remember my daughter when she, her crying because we were in a barbecue place, and she wanted to try the smoked turkey. And my wife is always, my ex-wife was kind of like anti meat at the time, and so, but we were in a barbecue place. It's like, let the kid try something, and she got down. And my son was a little bit not so much on the meat, but in the last year or so, he's like, boy, love him some chicken. Yes. And then recently I've let him try steak. He likes it. Let him try lamb. He likes it. Uh, he saw me with the beef fat tonight and was like, can I try that? He liked it. So there's hope for him yet.
Right.
And I mean, really, with everything that I've learned in the last year about sugar and the way that that's messing us up, as a country, as a Western society, that the impact that it's done to our health over time, like every time I have to feed my kids something with carbs in it like hurts my soul.
Right.
Because I know because I know it's not optimal for their health.
Right.
And so I really, really want to help get them. And my daughter is a freaking vegetarian.
I feel for you. Been there.
Come
Hey,
on.
maybe she'll surprise you one of these days, like Emma did, and just go full 180 vegetarian into carnivore. I still can't believe that happened here, but
I mean, she does at least still eat fish, or salmon. That's like the one fish that she likes. Well, she'll eat some tilapia, but I'd rather give her the salmon because it has more fat in it.
right.
And but yeah.
It's one of the hardest things with children. I get that question a lot too, and I'm like, I wish I had a better answer. I don't know what to tell you. It's so hard, especially when they started from a young age. One thing, I was on Dr. Baker's podcast that he said, and it was kind of depressing, but it's true. He's like, this current younger generation of children, most of them just don't know they're never going to know what it's like to just be a natural human and be healthy, because they started out with sugar from before they can remember, and then they just have the inflammation. And it's hard. Like, you can't even blame the parents. Like, I did the same thing with my kids too. That was, my parents did it with me too. So it's just like normal. But yeah, it's a tricky thing now. And after the fact, you and we got kids and they're growing up a little bit more, and we started them out that way. It's like, what do you do now? And it's trying to get them off of it. I'm fortunate. all of my kids switched. This actually just happened on Friday. We had the
Yes,
rest
I
switch
saw
over.
that video. I was cheering for you.
Thank you. I'm so happy. On the flip side, I'm being very cautious because I'm trying not to pressure them either. A couple of them have started before. One of my daughters started and she went for like 2 weeks, and then her birthday was, well, everyone heard the story about Emma, but this was a different daughter. And then she stopped for a while, and then she went back on. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm happy they've started. I'm happy for one thing. If they start, and even if they quit, it's like, okay, now you know. Yeah, you tried and you have this in your toolbox. So maybe when you're like 40 years old like me and you're overweight and everything's going wrong, you're like, oh, I remember this one thing worked for me. At least I can do that instead of going down all the rabbit holes I did, like with Weight Watchers and counting calories and OMAD and stuff like that weren't working for me. But one of the things with my kids that happened recently, though, before my daughter Alyssa just started on Monday, like 2 days ago, we were at a family reunion this weekend. We're at a hotel. So it was me and the 3 girls. We have triplets plus one. Yeah. The plus one and Jen were here at the movie theater. But the there were 4 carnivores and 1 not carnivore, the herbivore. My one herbivore was snoring all night and no one else was snoring. And we're like, Emma was making, well, she wasn't making fun of her, but she's like, that's what you get. You ate that stuff. And it's like, it's kind of sad. And then it's like, man, that's how bad it is. I think of all those years I snored, all simply because I wanted to get that inflammation and that sugar in me. And literally, I stopped breathing 400 times a night when I was on my CPAP machine, well, all just for some candy and sugar and junk.
I'll tell you, I've been snoring since I was a kid, like literally as young as 2nd grade. I just turned 41, and like I said, I got a friend staying with me right now. And the other day I fell asleep on the couch just because I had been going super hard that day and fell asleep on the couch. And when I woke up, he was sitting there and I was like, yo, was I snoring? And he was like, nah, bro, you were silent.
Nice.
And I was like, holy shit, they're right.
Right. Isn't it crazy? And some people are like, oh, I snore, whatever, not a big deal. It's a huge deal. That's one thing. It sounds like, Alex, you've done a bunch of research into carnivore until you felt comfortable doing it. I was the same way. And sleep was something, I don't know where I went down this rabbit hole with sleep, but if you're not getting a good night's, and so many people are like, I got 8 hours, I'm good. Even if you get 8 hours and you're snoring, you could get 20 hours of crappy sleep and still wake up and be like,
a lot better now. My sleep is a lot better now.
Yeah.
And even before I started carnivore, I was trying to improve my sleep because and I think part of it is the ADHD because I was doing research into that, and a common thing that folks have said is that difficulty like settling your mind and relaxing so you can go to sleep. And that was me all day. Like I'd always feel like there was something I had to do. Like even though I knew that at 11, 12 at night, there's nothing I have to do. Right. But I would feel like, oh, well, I just need to do this. I need to do like, just couldn't shut it off. And so listening to this one doctor on YouTube, Dr. Mike Diamonds, he was talking about the difference that just getting his clients to sleep more would make in their weight loss journey. And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so I started making an effort. First it was because I used to only get like 4 hours a night was my normal. And so first it was trying to make sure I got 5 hours a night. Then I moved to trying to get 6 hours a night. Now I'm trying to make sure I get 7 hours a night. Getting more than 7 hours of sleep, I have difficulty getting more than 7 hours of sleep, but 6.5, 7, I can do most nights now, and it makes a world of difference. And even the transition to carnivore, I can tell the difference in the quality of sleep. More nights where I actually sleep through the night. Because I'm drinking more water and all that now, so like a lot of times I'll wake up at least once to pee, just because I've been drinking more water. And but there have been nights recently where I just slept through the night, and it's so much easier to get up. It's so much easier to get moving, or even if it feels, even if when you first wake up you feel a little groggy, within 5 minutes of starting to move around, I'm good. And then I go on my walk, and then I'm ready for the day.
Right. Yeah, same thing. And my sleep, I'm getting less and less, but it's more quality. I don't know. Like when I first started carnivore, the first 30 days, I think I was finally getting up at like 6:30, and then it moved to like 6, and then 5:30, and now sometimes it's like 4:30, and I wake up and I'm wide awake. I'm like, well, I better just go for my outside exercise walk and go get to it. The other thing that's really cool on carnivore for me is when I go to bed, I'm like, I'm going to bed now. I've seen other people do that. I was always impressed. My dad used to do that all the time, where they go to bed and they just go to bed. Oh man, before carnivore, no way. I'm going to bed now. I would just sit there like this, toss it and turn and flip it. I had the big CPAP machine on. I'm like, I had some YouTube videos I would watch just to help me fall asleep. Just some stupid stuff. There's this one, it was on the Titanic. It was like a 3D rendering of the Titanic. This is so random, but it's a great video. I've watched it so many times I have it memorized, but for some reason it was just like calming and it helped me sleep. But I have to go through all these procedures to fall asleep before. Now it's just like my head hits the pillow and I am out on carnivore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, everything in my life is an experiment right now. So I'm experimenting with sleep. Um, I know a lot of people don't do supplements when they're on carnivore, but before I started carnivore, I had started experimenting with some different supplements to help me with the sleep. So like magnesium, zinc, which zinc is supposed to be good for testosterone production too, and I'm pretty sure that the testosterone production is way up. I feel
Same. Yeah, I feel like
I haven't gotten any blood work done, but man, just the way that I feel now compared to a year ago is just, man, like I don't think I really felt human back then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I said that to people too. I think the testosterone's way up. It feels like I feel superhuman sometimes. And yeah, that sleep too is so huge because people end up not getting it, and then you have these downstream effects like, oh, all of a sudden I feel real anxious today. It's probably because you're sleep. Or I get a cold and allergies all the time. It's probably because you sleep. Your immune system, you got to work so hard because you're not getting that regenerative sleep. There's lots of things you can do too to help with your sleep that a lot of people don't do, like not looking at devices before you go to bed. I got these things. My buddy Chad, who's the documentary film guy, he suggested these. I got these on Amazon. I keep forgetting them here at the theater, so I got to test them up. But these are the blue light glasses, and he swears by these things. He says, I think like 2-3 hours before he goes to bed, he puts these on, and there's studies on it that show it changes your melatonin levels.
Yeah,
having those on. So there's lots of things you can do.
If you really want to get dialed in with your sleep, there's a lady I know who has a great podcast. Her actual whole company is about this. Her company is called Sleep is a Skill. And nice. She's an amazing lady. I met her a couple years ago via LinkedIn, and like her whole life revolves around the quality of sleep. And so she interviews on her podcast, she interviews sleep experts and talks to doctors, and she's got coaching programs where she helps people improve their skills. So if you're out there, and I mean, carnivore is great. It can help us. It definitely has me. It definitely has Carrie. So, I mean, maybe being on carnivore and getting your diet dialed in is all that you need. But if you need some extra help with getting your sleep to where it is, look up my friend. Sleep is a Skill. Great podcast. I think she's on YouTube as well. And I mean, she just like her whole life revolves around getting quality sleep.
That's really cool. Great name too. All right, cool. Let's go. So we got a bunch of questions here. Let's see what we got. And there's a super chat from Westfield 90. Thank you so much. Kudos, Carrie, for these super motivational interviews with these great people who have literally changed your lives. Proud of all you guys. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I got to just say this real quick. The carnivore diet documentary, every penny we get from these super chats, man, I'm just so thankful. There's been a lot of them lately. Every penny goes to the carnivore diet documentary. And I showed this on the Dr. Berry thing. I should just keep this here. I'm going to have this hanging up on my wall because this guy is my new inspiration. That is Bill from Alaska, 700 pounds. And he just emailed me after, I don't know if you guys caught it, but at the end of the Dr. Berry stream, which went like 3 hours because I was sticking around to answer questions. He messaged me, and he's almost has his YouTube video ready to go. He's going to send it to me. He wants me to just make sure, give him some tips and tricks. And I'm like, Bill, if you just have a camera like this for 30 seconds telling your story, it's going to go nuts because everybody wants to hear your story, like the editing, all that stuff. I'm like, you can worry about that later. You don't need to worry about camera and all this stuff. Like, you just do what you can. But so his video is going to be coming soon, and man, what an inspiration. So my whole thing with this, hanging this up, I'm going to put it right here. Hanging it up is like, this is the purpose of the Carnivore Diet documentary. He found me through YouTube, but how many more Bills are there out there that we're going to find through the documentary? So if anyone's interested, I know there's always a lot of new people. I'm always thinking, oh, it's just the same people on here, but there's a lot of new people on here that maybe never heard of me before. We're doing Carnivore Diet Movie. You can learn more. It's on the bottom of the screen, carnivoredietmovie.com. If you want to participate, you can register there. It's completely free. We're trying to follow real people over the course of a year doing carnivore diet, and it's all being crowdfunded. So if you can donate any money, or you do any super chats, or you become a member on the channel, every one of those things 100% goes to the Carnivore Diet documentary. Hello again, second stream in one day. Okay, I guess that wasn't a question. Yeah. Hey, this is fun because we got a movie going on right now, and I've been looking forward to talking to Alex. So question, I love this person's name, My Metamorphosis. How's the Carnivore family this evening? On my side, we're doing great. Thank you. We had the movie Sound of Freedom, which is playing above my head right now. It was crazy, I did the Dr. Barry thing for like 3 hours, and then my daughter Katie was like, Dad, get upstairs. There's a line of people outside the movie theater. So awesome. I rushed up there, and I changed the projector. Normally, we hit a button on the projector at 6 o'clock, and then we have like local business ads and trivia that runs, then the trailers, then the movie. Well, I changed all of that so it would just end at 7 o'clock, and then everything just went black. The lights were still on, and then I went up in the front, and I just made a big announcement that it was so awesome. We had 95 tickets for Sound of Freedom donated by people. So generous to people. So if people can't afford to come see Sound of Freedom, but they want to see it, you just come to Montello Theater, ask for the red ticket, and you've got the hookup. So I thanked all of those people, and it was really cool. People were clapping. I'd never done it like that before. Then I had to run all the way up to the projector room, turn the projector on, and everything worked. And then I ran down here, and it was like 2 minutes later, boom, and we were good to go. So Carnivore family is awesome. Everyone is here tonight working because we knew it was going to be pretty busy getting this movie in. But I think they were asking me that. But how are you doing, Alex, with your family?
I'm doing good. The kids are, being kids. I got to get them to bed soon because I have to, get them off to summer camp in the morning so I can actually get some work done.
Right. Yeah, I know how that goes. Man, summer's hard working from home, isn't it?
Yeah. I used to have an office. I had an office for 2 years that I was sharing with some other people. And unfortunately, I had to give that up in October when I was moving to my own place, and the other folks, everybody was, feeling the squeeze of current economic conditions and, going through whatever they were going through. And so they're all like, yeah, we all need to pull back. And I was like, all right, I can save some money too. And but now I'm in this new house, set up the office. I actually like it. But yeah, having some place to go every day for 2 years, that was mine. And like I could bring clients to and all that stuff was really cool. So hopefully one day we'll get back to that. Right. But for now, we're doing good.
Awesome. Matt T is asking, I'll let you go first, Alex. Any thoughts on bile salts?
I am not sure what bile salts are. I'm just, using sea salt and Redmond salt, and I'm good with that.
Right. It's a good question because I don't think I knew what bile salts were a couple of weeks ago, but I've since learned, so I can take this one. Bile salts, it's like something, I think Dr. Berg has some that he sells. It's so funny someone asked this because I didn't know anything about this a couple of weeks ago, and I have some bile salts at the house now. People that don't have a gallbladder, I had my gallbladder removed. Oftentimes, yeah. So you had yours removed too?
Yep.
So a lot of people that do carnivore, they have some issues processing fat, and so they'll have bile salts with their meal. I never had an issue, and obviously you didn't either because you're not taking any. Some people are just fine. Some people have to actually eat like less meat, less fat, but then more often, like a little bit here so their body can process the fat. But apparently, if they do these bile salts, it helps. Well, my wife, Jen, she doesn't have her gallbladder either. And so she's been roughing it out on carnivore day 17 right now. So I thought we would try that. So I ordered some of that on Amazon. I think she had some today. I don't know how well it worked or not, but yeah, I'm not sure, Matt. It's really funny because I know quite a few people that have been doing carnivore without a gallbladder, and they seem to be fine, myself included, Alex included. So I guess if you got no gallbladder and you're having some stomach issues, consider using them. Otherwise, you're probably just fine. All right. Oh, this isn't a question either. I'm addicted to carnivore live streams. Yeah, you are. You were on the other one earlier. I appreciate it. Really do. This one wasn't a question either, but it sounded good. Had an air fryer turkey wing. Need a break from the beef. Butter and hot sauce made it so yummy. How, Alex, what do you do? Do you do a lot of cooking in the air fryer or no?
I just bought an air fryer a few weeks ago. Like when I was still with my ex-wife, we had an air fryer. And so I used to cook a lot in that. But since I've been on my own, hey, Diana, what's good? That's my friend. She's like YouTube famous. Go follow her.
Awesome.
But yes, just bought an air fryer a few weeks ago. Glad I did because of that suggestion you made with the beef fat. That was amazing. I'm sorry, like I'm still so in awe of that. Just a little Redmond smoked salt, a little garlic powder.
I was happy when you posted that question because, like I said, real quick, I was struggling online getting enough fat, and Dr. Chafee said that same thing to me. He's like, "Yeah, air fryer." I'm like, yeah. Cut up some beef fat, put it in there, salt, and he even said himself, he's like, "Oh man, my mouth's watering thinking about it now." And then
it's so good. It's so like, dude, you don't know what you just unleashed.
And my body is like, dude, this is what I need. More.
Yes.
I feel amazing after eating
the first batch I made. I ate like half of it right away, and I was like, okay, I got to back away from the fryer.
So I learned about carnivore from Dante from Frigno Freedom, and then I went down the Dr. Berry rabbit hole before I was convinced to start carnivore. But Dante was like always talking about you got to do your steaks in the air fryer, and I was like, that's crazy. So I went 30 days. I never put a steak in an air fryer. Have you put a steak in an air fryer yet?
Not yet, but I'm going to
try it out once. I'll be interested to hear what you say. I have, when I first tried it out, I was like, this is amazing. Dante's right, because it's counterintuitive. I would have thought that's going to dry that steak out, and it locks the juices in. It does it the opposite of what I would have thought, and so it's pretty good. But then I kept doing it for a while, and now it's like, man, I just really like that kind of charred taste when you cook it on the grill, or the other ones I do that I smoke. So I switch it up, but it was surprisingly good. And if you're in a pinch, the only thing that's bad about it is that you're cooking in the house and you get the house smells like meat all the time. So someone else was asking, Christine, what cut of beef fat do you buy? What cut of?
I just asked for whatever beef fat they had. They just put it was like a bag of random frozen beef scraps that they just pulled out their freezer. But I tell you what, man, things is tasty. Like you want some carnivore snacks? Go get you some and throw it in that air fryer, dog. I'm saying
I get that question all the time too. And I'm like, carnivores don't snack. But when I first started, I was kind of looking for some things, or just to supplement your meal. That's the perfect carnivore snack. That's it right there. I've gotten it a couple times, beef fat too, and I don't think they've ever been like, oh, you want the ribeye fat or this fat? They just give you whatever. So it's all pretty good. How many eggs are too many? I don't know if you can have too many.
There is none.
Yeah.
However many your body tells you is too many.
Right. If you start getting sick, then you're maybe cut back.
Okay, so let's talk about eggs for a second. I love eggs. Always have. Since I was a kid. Probably the first thing I learned to cook. But I was always afraid to eat too many. Because of course, everybody, because when you're a kid, or most normal humans, I guess, it's like either 2 or 3 eggs, because when you're at home you're probably being told to have 2 eggs. Then if you go to like IHOP or a restaurant or a diner or something, they're probably giving you a 3-egg omelet or a 4-egg omelet or something. But that's kind of like the limits. That's like pushing it.
Yeah.
Bro, the other day I had like 6 eggs and it was like nothing.
Right.
Not like nothing as in it didn't have any substance, but it's like I had it and I felt fine.
Yeah.
And you get afraid of having too much, but and I'll just say like this is the where I'm trying to really learn to listen to my body and how much of whatever food is enough. Because like there was one day where I've been really craving some salmon and I'd really been craving eggs. And so for breakfast, I had salmon and I had eggs. And the second I tasted it, it was just like, yeah, this is exactly what I don't know what in this my body needed, but this is exactly what because I'd never had salmon and eggs before, some fried eggs. But the combination was out of this world.
Nice.
It just was so good. But then it got to a point in the meal where it was like, okay, this doesn't taste as good as when I started.
Right.
And Dr. Berry says that's when you're supposed to stop.
Gotta listen to Dr. Berry. Yeah. It's funny how much more in tune your body is when you start doing this. It's like, yeah, more eggs, more the salt too. Everyone listens to me. How much salt should I use? I don't know. I'm like, put some on, I taste it, and then my body's like, no, you need some more than that. And then it's like, if you calculate it all out, it seems like I'm giving my body exactly what it needs by the time I'm done with the end of that meal. But it's funny what you mentioned about eggs because, man, I don't know. I used to do the same thing, but 2 eggs, 3 eggs, no way. Those are like total rookie numbers now. I can't do 2 or 3 eggs. When I was doing carnivore too,
three is like my go-to.
Yeah.
Some days it's 4, but 3 is kind of like I think it's like the perfect amount for me when I have eggs. But the other day I wanted to have breakfast, but I didn't want to get like super full. And so I just did eggs and I had like 5 or 6 eggs and it was great. I had like 4 of them scrambled and then 1 or 2 fried with the yolk runny on top, and
yep.
It was amazing.
Right.
It was amazing. And then like one day, I think it was last week, I just decided to go ham on eggs and bacon. Like I just really pushed the envelope. I had like 6 eggs and I think I had 8 pieces of bacon. But once I hit 6 pieces of bacon, my body was like, all right, you did enough with the bacon. Stop.
Please. Yeah. I was getting into this kick where I used to eat the whole fried egg. That was like my go-to. But then I heard some people have problems with the white. So I don't know. One time I tried just the egg yolk and it came out so crispy around the edges. I by accident, I cooked it like perfectly. Crispy around the edges, a little bit of runny yolk in the middle. And then I just started doing that every time. It'd be like 5 or 6 just egg yolks, fried up egg yolks, crispy little edge, a little bit of butter in there. Yeah, I gotta stop talking about this. I'm gonna end up dropping off the Lion diet now because the bacon too. That is one thing I miss, especially with Emma now because every day she's cooking up this bacon, the beef butter bacon egg, the Power Bowl stuff, and I don't really have that many cravings for it, but every now and then I'm like, man, that bacon would be good. So we'll see. I'm
looking forward to trying Lion diet though. Like I'm just curious because growing up, I've always liked steak, I've always liked lamb, but it was just and it wasn't like I don't think my parents were ever consciously trying to stay away from it. It just wasn't something that we had constantly. And then of course, with all the brainwashing, they're like, oh, you shouldn't eat beef and you shouldn't blah blah blah. And so as an adult, I had never I would have steak periodically. It just wasn't the first thing I would reach for. I mean, plus, I was broke for a lot of my young adulthood. So
right. Hey, Alex, I want to be respectful of your time. I don't know if we talked about time or not, but are you good right now, or we gotta?
I can go for a few more minutes.
Okay.
Probably. I got to get my son to bed soon, at the very least.
Cool. We'll power through some of these. I got a couple questions here I put off to the side. So this wasn't even a question. They just said I have to take my morning walks, same calm and no more anxiety. Yeah, you get that.
It really helps. It really helps get me. I haven't started practicing meditation. I want to, but I almost feel like getting up in the morning and going for the walk is a form of meditation,
Yeah.
almost like just the movement of my body. And I walk the same route every morning. Um, and I thought at first that I would be bored doing that, but it just feels good to walk the route.
Yep.
And so, and so like I just like it. And so I'm gonna keep doing it.
Likewise too. It seems kind of like meditation for me too. It's like my me time. It's just it. Go boom. It's nice. I look forward to it every morning too. Question:
Plain
Can you?
seltzer water. Drink lots of plain seltzer water.
Yeah. Can you ask Dr. Barry if you can use his saying "proper human diet" for your docu movie? That's funny you asked that because that has been on my mind, and that is something I'm going to ask him. That's one of the biggest challenges with this carnivore diet movie. Everyone's given me great advice, and the best advice is don't put carnivore in the title because you're going to scare everyone away, and that kind of defeats the purpose. We want to inspire people and show some examples. So coming up with a name without carnivore in it is tough. The proper human diet, man. Every time I hear that, that's like, I wonder what that is. It's kind of intriguing. It's kind of like clickbait.
Right.
It's like a good YouTube title. I want to watch more. So more to come on that. We will see. I think we answered this one. Alex has a YouTube channel. It's at the bottom. Oh, let me switch it back. It's at the bottom of the screen now. And then he's coming out with some new videos soon. What was it? Fasting Alex?
It's gonna be called Alex Does Fasting.
Alex Does Fasting. Cool name. All right. Let's see.
But I'm going to cover, it's not just going to be about intermittent fasting. I'm going to cover the carnivore diet on there too, because that's the, kind of like the main tool I'm trying to do right now. But it's going to be kind of flexible because I'm still doing intermittent fasting. I'm still going to experiment with the ADF because I find I like the intermittent fasting. I don't like eating more than twice a day. But I also want to experiment with OMAD again. Once I kind of get the amount of food I need to have in a day kind of better calibrated. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I mean, I thought that at 60 days I would have had it figured out by now, but I do not.
Yep. So this next one, you just answered. Two people had that question. So you got some YouTube subscribers already ready to go once you get your channel up there. Someone asked, I missed something. What is ADF?
Alternate day fasting. So that is literally a pattern of eating where you eat one day, you do not eat the next day. If you're interested in learning more about it, go look up Dr. Frank O'Neill. That's where I first heard of alternate day fasting. He's on YouTube. He's a YouTube channel, Dr. Frank O'Neill. He lost over 165 pounds doing alternate day fasting, which was what inspired me to try it. He has very thorough explanations about the way to approach an ADF protocol and just weight loss in general. Like he quotes studies. He's got stats and statistics, not just about ADF, but intermittent fasting and, the various flavors of it. And so if you want to know more about intermittent fasting and how to approach weight loss without losing muscle, prioritizing fat loss, he is a great resource.
Great. All right. Let's see. We got two more here. Has anyone else thought about opening up a carnivore food truck?
I would love that. Well, I don't want to run a food truck, but I would love to eat at one.
Yeah. If anyone wants to do it, I will be your first customer. That would be cool. It was funny. I was talking to Carnivore Kip the other day. He smokes a lot of meat. And I was saying, Kip, you got to open a restaurant, man. Just call it carnivore too. Oh man. Because non-carnivore people are going to eat there too. But yeah, food truck, I'd be all over that for sure. And then we got a question from Kimmy. What type of meals do you eat in a typical day? Beef, chicken, pork, etc.
I keep it pretty simple. So a lot of days, if I'm eating a breakfasty meal, it'll be eggs and bacon. I really like fried eggs. I really like bacon. Look, bacon is proof that God loves us. That is, I will swear that till the day I die. Bacon is proof that God loves us. Okay. So love my eggs and bacon. And then what other meat I eat, and that'll usually be my breakfast meal, like 3 or 4 eggs, however many pieces of bacon I feel like eating. And then if I having dinner, it's usually, if I'm having chicken, it'll be like half a chicken If I'm having lamb, it'll be like a couple of lamb chops or um but I'm experimenting with different cuts of beef right now to figure out what I like, cuz for a long time ribeye was my favorite cut, but since I've been on carnivore, I've kind of been liking ribeye less. And so now I've started experimenting with chuck steak, and I've been enjoying that the last couple of weeks. Um, I just had my first tri-tip that I just finished, and that was pretty good. But I just bought a picanha today. I love skirt steak. Although, why is it so expensive? Stop making skirt steak so expensive. Like,
Yeah.
you're hurting my feelings.
Right.
And I love just ground beef more than I ever thought I would. I mean, I always love burgers, but like, being carnivore and just having ground beef, um, actually I really enjoy it. Um, and and like I've been trying to find fattier and fattier ground beef, and so I just discovered that the Target down the street from me sells like a 3 pound thing of 20% fat ground beef, or no, 25%. Yeah, 25%. So we're going to try that out next week.
Nice.
Yeah. But then I've also been I also just started a butcher box subscription, so I'm trying that out, seeing, how that works. And so, and then there's always Costco. So love Costco. Their lamb chops, love those.
I gotta try lamb chops. Everyone asks me. I have nothing against it. I've seen them at Costco, and every time I'm like, I should get those, but I've never made them. And I'm like, I don't know. It's probably not that complicated. I could Google it, but I gotta give that a try. For me, it's just it's usually a steak, and then people are always like, "Oh, must be nice, Mr. Rich Guy with the steak," but literally that's it. One steak at noon, and I eat nothing else. Sometimes I'll have some patties, but one of the things Alex was saying too that kind of resonated with me is when people are like, "Oh, you must get bored on just eating beef," and for me, it's like, no, there's like 20
There's
different
so
types
many
of
parts
beef.
of that cow.
Yeah,
There's
and
so
it
many
all
parts
tastes
of that
different.
cow.
It all tastes different. You mentioned ribeye. I used to love ribeye too, and I've been steering away from it a little bit more. But now, like I said, I do the pot roast. Sometimes I'm like, man, just a New York strip. Maybe if they got one with more fat on the side, I get it. Tastes totally different than a ribeye. Tastes totally different than a
New
porterhouse.
York, worlds apart.
Yep.
And like people who haven't tried enough pieces of the cow, they think it's all the same. Worlds, like ground beef is totally different than having steak.
Right.
Or if or even if you have like there's a in the next town over, there's a shop that a family that owns a farm runs, so you can go in there and you can buy a bunch of stuff off their farm. They make these steak burgers, bro, that are woo.
Yeah.
The steak burgers. It's not the same as a regular steak. Like they literally take the good steak and grind it up into bruh.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's expensive. It's expensive. Like I would love to just patronize them, but like my budget ain't stretching that far. But I mean, even talking about that, like I spend way more money. Like my kids split time with me and their mama. I spend way more money on groceries when they're here than when I'm by myself.
Right.
And it's because all I'm buying for me is meat.
Yeah.
And then with them, I got to worry about cereal and vegetables and bread and everything. It's like all that stuff is expensive, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you end up wasting so much too. That's what we used to do. And I never tried to. I hate wasting food. But it'd be like, oh, just get some salad or something. And then you end up eating half of it, and then there's leftovers or it's brown or something. You end up throwing it out. I don't waste anything when I'm eating meat.
Yeah, and even then, like people talking about, oh, it's so expensive to eat carnivore because they haven't done it. But like when I first went carnivore, one of the days I was out of the house, I was actually working an audiovisual event for a local events company, and I hadn't made anything for lunch. And so I ran down the street to this restaurant called Pollo Tropical, and I was like, you know what? And I asked him like, hey, can I just get like a half chicken by itself? And then I was like, I don't know if the half chicken, like I was feeling really hungry that day. That was my eating day. I had fasted the day before. And I was like, what? I don't know if the half chicken is gonna be enough for me. Can I just get some pulled pork by itself? Like, bro, it was so cheap for a half chicken and this big old tub of pulled pork, like way less. Like it was, if I had gotten like a regular meal, it probably would have been like $9 for the half chicken and this big old tub of pulled pork, which I couldn't even finish. It was like $10.
Yeah.
It was like, why wasn't I doing this before?
Right.
And then I was out with my bro the other day and he wanted to go to Burger King and I was like, watch this. I ordered two Whopper patties from Burger King and some bacon. They charged me $3.
Yes. Yep. And you got all the good stuff too. Yeah, I try to always eat at home, but you're out and you got to do it. There's a couple of go-tos I have like that, and I have it down. Like, do you guys have Culver's in Florida? I don't think you do.
Yep.
Oh, you do. Okay. There's well, the one by us too. You have to say it very specifically to get the right price. It's like a side patty. You tell them side patty, and then they give you the deal. But my wife's gone there, or the girls have gone there, and sometimes they'll do it wrong, and they'll actually try to charge you for like a full burger, and then they minus everything. Price comes out different. There's all these little tricks you got to learn doing carnivore. But your point is right though. It's like, man, this is way cheaper, and you're paying all that money for the garbage stuff on it before, like the carby bun and the cheese.
Yeah, and I never really wanted all the French fries and stuff when I went out.
Right.
Like I was never a big fry. I mean, like, now don't get me wrong, the right place, right time, French fries can be delicious. But like I was never a big potato guy, never a big French fry guy. I wanted the meat.
Yep.
That's what I wanted. I wanted the meat.
You're a carnivore for sure. Well, Alex, this has been a lot of fun. Wow. We got to do this again sometime. This is great.
Hey, I'm down. And we need to talk about lights, because I know you're trying to figure out what lights you need. So we need to have another call about lights.
Please. And something really cool happened. I will send you a picture of it. I don't know where someone just sent it to me, but I got a pretty cool light. I got one. But now with all of the super chats and stuff on the earlier live stream with Dr. Chafee, I'm getting the lights right away. That's what the money was for. That was the next big hurdle. So yeah, any recommendations you have, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I really appreciate you reaching out to me too. So I'm hoping that I can work with Alex on the carnivore diet documentary in the future. I'm lining people up, Alex, real quick, and I'll let you go. So you're down in Florida, and now I just got this guy. He's done several documentaries and a feature film in England, and he's the coolest guy, and he's a carnivore, and you're a carnivore. So it's like, man, we're getting this powerful carnivore team. I have the camera equipment, but if we can go to different locations and have people that we can partner with, it's going to make it so much more better for sure. So looking forward to talking about all of that stuff more going forward. Do you want to pitch anything else before we wrap this up here? We got your YouTube channel on the bottom, and then you got your film and production stuff.
If anybody's in Florida and looking for help for their business with video content or looking to launch a video podcast, please reach out to us. That's what we specialize in. We'd love to be a service. But we do work nationwide. I've got clients out of state, got clients in state. If the money's good, we can go anywhere.
Nice. Yeah, and you got some impressive work. Like I was looking at some of the videos on your site, and you're killing it over there. So that's great. Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Man, we still got 235 people, 8:30 at night. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.